Well, let's get going here. First of all, I want to thank everybody to chiming on here. And Brad Hosden is on here as well, my director of hockey operations at the rink. And we just wanted to have a quick chat to get everybody up to speed as much as we know what's going on so that we can make the transition back into the rink as easy as possible. I know that both youth hockey associations have had conversations with coaches and everything. And we just wanted to have one as well, just so if there was any questions on what we're planning to do and how we can help everybody get back to the rink, we would do that. As we all know that Monday the 4th is the day we're back at it, along with the high schools. And we're going to roll with it the best we possibly can. It is imperative that we have the help of the coaches and managers and stuff as we get going here, because it's going to be a little bit put back on you people to make sure that your kids are doing what they're supposed to, because we all know that we cannot go into another pause again, as it would be detrimental to hockey as a whole. So just to kind of recap what the Department of Health and Minnesota Hockey are asking of us is that we all show up at the rink 10 minutes before your hour starts. And we've made a little bit of a change in this typical schedule so that we can eliminate some of the crossover between the two rinks. So the normal schedule for the South rink will continue starting at 5:20 in the evening. And on the North rink, we've bumped it back 10 minutes. So we'll start at 5:40 and go through the evening. And then on the weekends, it should stay, we kept it pretty much the same, at half an hour difference between the two rinks. So we should be limiting the amount of crossover between the two rinks as we possibly can. So then the next step to coming back to the rinks is that everyone comes in dressed, ready to go. That's fully dressed. The Minnesota Hockey is asking that none of the kids come with a bag. They want them to walk in with their skates and their helmet on and gloves and stick in hand to walk downstairs and get ready to go, to get ready on the ice. The big deal for the Department of Health is that before the pause is what was contributing to spiking numbers in hockey was the crossover and the intermingling in the locker rooms and getting onto the ice between parents and kids. So we need to make sure that the focus is coming into the rink. They're walking right downstairs, either into the skating area, areas outside of the locker rooms. There will be chairs out there and the skating lounge as well. We are also using as what we're referring to them now as the skate changing rooms, which are our locker rooms. We feel that it is much easier for us to make sure that we can clean and disinfect after each group if we use those rooms. Now, if players and families don't want to use them, that's absolutely fine. We've added more chairs, like I said, on the matting on the North rink. We've added some matting on the South rink by the bleachers and stuff to try and give more area for people to sit down and get their skates on. With coming in for coaches, we're asking puck bucket, small bag with your coaching aids, and those types of things, whatever you'll need for your practices. The cones and those pads will still be around, but we would try to minimize the use on those just to get us going here because of the contact and possible contamination if we don't get over there to pop and clean them properly on a timely fashion. Goalies are asked to come in half dressed. That's upper pads and breezers on and stuff. And then they can come in with a bag that has their helmet, their gloves, their leg pads, and skates. They're the only ones right now that are currently allowed to have a bag coming into the facility. It really is imperative that we have everybody on board with this so that we can get kids into the rink in a timely fashion and then get them back out of the rink in a timely fashion so that we don't have crossover between groups that are coming and going. And especially then when you guys are on the ice, it's imperative that the two teams that are on the ice don't intermingle. You know, we've also asked the two youth hockey associations, and I reached out to Pete Carlson over at the Super Rink and Nick, I can't think of Nick's last name, at Centennial, and they are all in agreement with us that we will allow one volunteer or manager to be with each team each hour to help facilitate that in and out process. We know that coaches aren't going to be always there right when the ice time is getting over with because of taking care of pucks and the nets for the drivers. So, you know, that person that's kind of hanging around and granted they get to sit and watch the practice, but we're also asking them to do a little bit more and get the kids in the locker rooms or into the changing areas wherever they're sitting and not getting their old habits of shooting the shit with everybody and starting to horse around or anything. It's get in, get your skates off, and leave the facility. Now, all this that's going on right now is basically just from the 4th of January through the 13th before games start. And at that point, we don't know what's going to happen or what's going to be asked of us, or if parents are going to be allowed to come in and watch games or anything like that. We're still in a wait and see mode. But it's, you know, I keep using the word, it's imperative. I can't stress this enough, that we need your guys' support in re-educating the kids and parents and everybody that's coming into the facility that things aren't the way they were before the stoppage. We've got to make sure that we re-educate everybody so that we all know what's going on as soon as we walk in the door to the rink. My guys are going to be out in the lobby like they were in the past, and it's anybody that comes in other than a skater is going to be asked to immediately leave, and we have to abide by the rules. Now, we also are going to ask when the mites start to come back into the fold of getting on the ice next weekend, that we have those managers or those volunteers around to help educate those people on what the new practices are to get people in and out. Because, you know, pre-pause, the mites were always the area that made me cringe the most, because there was so much interaction between parents and the interaction between groups and everything. And we have to eliminate that moving forward so that we don't end back up in this situation. I guess the one other area with the skate changing rooms / locker rooms is that will be different, is that those rooms will all be wide open. The doors have all been padlocked, or open for lack of a better term, so that they can be easily viewed, and the kids can be seen in what they're doing, and make sure that they're wearing their masks, make sure they're getting their skates on or off, and get out of the facility. Brad, am I forgetting anything? Looks like Brad's froze. I guess, you know, if there's any questions or
hold on about here.
Oh, go ahead.
The main thing, guys, is to realize everything that we've had our Zoom meetings with the MDA, coach, with Minnesota hockey, with everything about the facility. It was never the facility's fault. We don't want to push the blame on anybody, but it does fall on the athletes and the coaching staff. Nobody ever got sick in the locker room because the locker room wasn't disinfected. The main thing was they were always saying it was the interaction with the athletes because the coaches and the athletes weren't following the guidelines of wearing the mask in the locker room, in the lobby, on the ice, so forth like that. So every rink that you go to is going to simply be harping on all of the athletes and the coaches to basically say, if you want to play hockey or if you want to play a sport, you have to follow these guidelines, rules. We all have our opinion on this stuff. The sad part about it is somebody is dictating what we get to do. It is not the rink's rules at all, but we have to follow these rules in order for our rink to be open. Simple as that. The coaches are the main focus on here. You have to do your job to make sure you're teaching your players to follow the rules. My guys are constantly having to yell at athletes, coaches, parents that have their own idea. We all understand that. We don't want to do a lot of this stuff either. But unfortunately, every Zoom meeting we've been a part of with Minnesota hockey, they basically said it's a rule now. So District 10, Blaine Youth Hockey, Spring Lake Park Hockey, you guys can all basically get your program in trouble along with our facility. And if there is no facility, there is no ice. Nobody wants to think about that. But the fact is, that's the way you guys have to play hockey for the next 2 or 3 months. So the main thing is to remember everything that we're asking of has nothing to do with Fogerty Arena. It's if you want to play hockey or not. So there's simple rules. It's in and out. You have to understand the staff has been extremely stressed, just like at every other store that you've gone to. There's plenty of people that don't believe in this. There's plenty of people that don't follow the mask rule. Doesn't matter to Fogerty Arena. You have to understand, we're trying to keep our doors open. So there's a lot at stake here for you guys and us.
Yeah, Brad's exactly right. Does anybody have any questions? Because we'll gladly answer anything that we can based on the knowledge that we have. And trust me, there's still a lot of unclarified things with this opening. So if you have a question, have a doubt, ask it. This is the perfect time.
I had one question. I might have missed this. On the first week or January 4th through the 13th, did you say is one parent allowed to come in with the youth, the mite groups, or did you guys define that?
Okay, so with the mites, they are allowed one parent to come in and get the kids ready and get them out on the ice. We're gonna then ask you to leave so that we don't have that congregation of people with social distancing or any of that in the facility at this time. That's why we've asked the 2 youth hockey associations to have that one manager or volunteer for each team that is there to be that person. That if there is, for some reason, little Johnny or Billy has a meltdown, or they don't feel good, or they fall down and hit their head or something, that volunteer or manager then could call the parent and get them back in the building. We really want to ease this back in as slowly as we can, and to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with what's going on. And I see a question about masks. Masks are worn in the entire facility, on the ice, off the ice, in the locker room, every second you're in the arena. Now, again, that may change as we get closer to the 13th, but I'm guessing that's going to be here to stay based on what we've heard. you know,
Also, Rob, too, I think we were kind of holding off on the mites, so I'm assuming the mites right now, at least for Fogerty, for the first few weeks, there will not be any mites at Fogerty.
yeah, it's
Now,
about a
after
week. About a week, what it looks like.
it'll change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so,
there's several coaches, one in charge of making sure. Absolutely, the coaches, if you got more than two coaches, absolutely, they can take care of that manager or volunteer position off the ice. However, the team wants to do it. We're just encouraging that there be that person there available if needed. Yeah, the medical exemption thing, absolutely. If it's something on that regards, of course you can stay in the facility. We don't want to put anybody in jeopardy if some type of medical condition happened. We just want to try, at least here for the first week or so, to really limit the amount of people in the facility so that we can, like I said, I've been saying, get the re-education of the in-outs in that aspect of the life back at the rink. Because again, like I said, on the 13th into the 14th of January, it's all going to change, and we don't know what that is yet. The CCM masks right now are the only masks that I know of that are approved for any type of something that's on the cage or the iTech or bubble. I know that there's supposedly another one or two out there, but they're not approved at this point in time. I would suggest just, a gaiter or a regular mask at this point in time. The traffic patterns shouldn't change within the facility. It's still, the indoors and outdoors are labeled as they were before the pause. So that aspect won't change at all either. Does anybody else have any questions? Parents of squirts, basically the way we've kind of defined it is that at 10 years and older, shouldn't have a parent be bringing them in. If it's, the 9-10-year-old for squirts, yeah, you can bring them in, but then get them on the ice and then get them out.
also, guys, if I want to jump in here real quick, a lot of it too was with the dropping the kids off for practice. You realize when we say 10 minutes before, a lot of rinks are going to keep their doors locked. We've decided not to have our doors locked, but they will have so wintertime is wintertime. Do not drop your kid off 15 minutes prior to practice and think he's going to come in the arena. He will not get let into the arena. So parents, you have to, as coaches, you really have to emphasize this to your players. Everything has changed. So when players come in, it's basically 5 minutes. Realistically, you have 5 minutes before you get for practice because all they have to do is put their skates on. So the main, and it was the congregation in front of the doors. All of a sudden you'd have a whole team standing out there. That was what MDH kept talking about, that was the transmission rate. An entire team standing in front of a lobby waiting to get let into a building is not a good thing. So you guys as coaches have to be able to teach your players and parents to say, when practice is at 5 o'clock, your kid should walk in and just basically put their skates on and hit the ice, not wait 15 minutes out in front of our front doors for our guys to stop yelling at you to come in. So that was a lot of it too, is it's definitely a re-education process. So.
And just to clarify on the question with the squirt goalies, if they need help to get ready, absolutely. you're more than welcome to come in and get them ready, but then it's not to linger around and talk to the managers or the coaches and stuff down there. It's then to turn around and get back out. We don't want to be that, the guys there that are policing everything and questioning everybody that comes in. If somebody, in the case of a 10-year-old goalie that needs help, if Joe, Adam, or any of the part-time staffs are there, just talk to him and let him know, I'm just helping him to get his pads on, and then I'm turning around and leaving. And nobody's going to question you, or nobody's going to fight you. You're going to get that question and fight when your kid's clearly a peewee, or or a bantam, or a junior goal. They don't need our help anymore. They can take care of it themselves. So don't get me wrong here. We're not trying to say that those younger guys can't have help. We want them to get the help that they need. The coaches might have to tie an extra pair of skates, or the manager or the volunteer that's on hand, to help out in those situations. Does anybody else have any questions for us?
Rob, I had another question. Will you guys send out a summary of the new rules for Fogerty, or are coaches supposed to communicate that to teams directly?
So I have posted on the Fogerty website our new preparedness plan and everything that's on there, at least for January 4th through the 13th. I've also emailed it to both of the youth hockey contacts so that they can update theirs accordingly and get that information out to the teams as well. Right now, for parents and stuff, absolutely, for the mites, we would prefer that you come and you get them ready once the mites are back in the facility, get them ready, and then exit. Unless there's a medical condition like we talked about earlier, we just want to make sure that we are abiding by the rules as best as we can, and we feel that if we have that volunteer or that manager on duty, there is no need for extra parents or extra bodies in the facility until we're allowed to start playing games and having spectators in the building. The live barred feed is running. I think it's currently might be kind of on pause because there's nothing going on. And I will make sure that is up and going on Monday and reach out to Live Barn.
Also, Rob, too, I think most of this stuff too, I'm assuming Minnesota Hockey is communicating with all of the associations and districts. So in my opinion, I'm assuming Blaine Youth and Spring Lake Park Youth Hockey is communicating all of these rules that Minnesota Hockey is implemented to all of the facilities, correct? These are not Fogerty rules. These are from Minnesota Hockey.
Yeah, Minnesota Hockey and Department of Health are basically what we've based everything off of.
So a lot of this stuff, I'm assuming you guys should get from your youth association, also with our preparedness plan.
Brad, just to be clear on that, Spring Lake Park has communicated that with the Zoom meeting with all of our coaches. So Spring Lake Park is prepared.
Good.
Yes. No, that's perfect. That's what I like. I think it almost seems like most of the associations are the ones that have to communicate this to their coaches also. So, which I know they both have. And thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, and then if you're the manager or the parent that's volunteering, just if you see the guys and they're out in the lobby, just communicate with them. They're not going to fight with anybody unless it's deliberately
Careful,
wrong.
Rob. Careful. They will fight with guys because we hear it every day.
I'm trying to be nice.
Remember, guys, you have to realize the guys hear it all the time. So they're not always in a good mood. If you come and respect them, they will respect you. Simple as that. Just like in any business, respect goes both ways.
Yep. Looks like you got everything answered here in the question in the chat. Is there anything else anybody's got a question on? All right, well, if there's not, I thank you for giving us a half an hour out of your day, and we're looking forward to getting back and getting people in the rink. It's Brad and I'll tell you that it is far too quiet in there, and it is weird, and it's not right. And we're looking forward to having people back in the building and enjoying it for what it is, you know, a recreational opportunity for everybody to enhance their lives in whatever way they choose it to be. So I would, again, at any time, if you got a question, don't be afraid to pop your head in, send us an email. The easiest one to get Brad and I at is fogertyarena@fogertyarena.com. And we will do our best to keep everything up and rolling. That's all we can do. It'll be a little bit of challenging, as we're finding from the different guidances between Minnesota Hockey and High School League and Miami and Department of Health. We're juggling it all to make it work. So thank you again for giving us a little bit of time tonight, and we'll see you guys at the rink. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.